Hello. It is Monday. It is Monday at freedomslips.com. Revolution Radio. Here we go. Oh my goodness gracious. So many things we could be talking about. Because we are Lips of Free in here. And we do help and love the support that we get from our listeners. So don't forget that homepage. Go click the donate button. And I think there's still a $75 donation. You get a silver bar. And check everything else that's going on there. It's time for spring. Get the seed packs, Do some DVDs for the host. The host get half. And don't forget the archives, because those are kind of vital. So here we are with Mohsen on Monday. Hey, how art thou?
I am fine, my dear, and it's a pleasure being with you again. I'm delighted to hear your voice again. I'm kind of getting used to it.
Yeah, right?
It's one of those things you got to have a little dose of it, or or you just kind of get withdrawal. You're kind of missing it.
I think that there's quite a few that know that I'm humble enough just to be myself, and I think that's what we're all here to get permission to do. And if you can share a laugh or an idea, or to me, that's my goal. I'm so happy with my soapbox.
Oh, definitely, my dear. It's just
The
what I love.
station owner named me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a show going on, and he said in Facebook, go to this show, and I'm like, okay. So I called in, but they had to check who it was first, and he says to them, oh, she's just the feral hippie.
That describes you. That describes you rather well.
Well, I've been
But
with the station in the beginning. It was just all phone calls at one time with a very small chat. This station has grown lovingly, tremendously. We're not saying we didn't have family squabbles and other things like that happening, but this truly is a love network.
that's wonderful. What I actually like about the station is that there's not so much formalities and you know what I'm saying. It's just down to earth, and people can just listen to it and, as if they're just chit chatting with each other. It would be nice if you could get some of the people and start talking to us. I don't know if you have a capability of doing that,
What do you
but
mean, honey?
well, sometimes calling, ask a question, their
Well,
voice is
if
going to
that's
be there.
what you want to do today, then I'll put out the number whenever I get the computer back going, and you can have that. We can have call-ins. Oh, I have the numbers right here.
Yeah.
What would you like to discuss for a call-in there, Mohsen? Huh?
Oh, whatever, whatever. You know what? I just kind of make it. I think that's what you like to do, so I respect that. And we make this very, very spontaneous. And that's what I'm saying. If people call in, okay, and then they ask a question, then there's that topic to talk about. I have, as you probably, I don't know if you had a chance to see my second show, episode 2, but really the first show yesterday on CCN
Neat.
and the video show. And there I try to be very structured and talk about certain topics, and I share slides. And it's still, I don't want to make it like a lecture because I don't want to bore them. It's at almost two plus hours.
Right.
That and if I'm talking continuously 2.5 hours, with a bunch of slides, I think I tried to slow it down, but I still had 35 slides. So it's the slides are supposed to entice them and not just make it like a lecture and they're sitting in a lecture hall or whatever like that. So even that, I'm trying to make it very user friendly, so to speak. But it would be nice. I mean, this is wonderful because I talk to you and you bring up subjects and we talk about it and all that stuff. But that particular one, since I'm the only one, there's nobody on the show.
Right, right.
So it is kind of like a lecture. So, but you have to, you know, within the context of talking to yourself, but you have to make it interesting and kind of sort of, it can be interactive, but sort of conversational. You know what I'm saying? So I look at the camera and I imagine there's a guy sitting there, or group or whatever, looking at the screen, and I try to address them, you know, directly, as people, not just you know, monotonously. And by the way, I got some, comments, and certainly one of them was very, very expressive, saying that, oh, as soon as I saw the name Doctor, that put me off.
Oh,
Be-
really?
yeah, because I thought, oh, that's going to be boring. And then he went on saying that how wonderful it was, and he was so glad that he listened to the show, and it was down to earth and all that stuff. And that's what we got to do. I mean, that we're all the same. We're all part of the same, the chip of the same block.
Right.
So, although you want to give them the information, you want to add to their consciousness, you want to entice them, enlighten them, and make them, think on the subjects, and because they would be kind of searching for that, for answers. And if they do that with these energies that are coming to us, all of us are awakening. Well, we've awakened, but all of people are awakening, and awakening in a sense that they start interacting with these energetic thought particles.
Yeah, but we got to just consider the ones that don't even realize that they're there, and they might have a fear because of the other kind of, and for some reason, the word retribution, which I know is not a positive word, but it could be, that if
And
they don't believe like others, then they're outcasted. They're, felt or made to be feeling that they're unworthy. They're victims. And that's what we first have to clear out of the systems for those to be able to take a breath and know they're safe, know they're allowed, and that this can be one big party in Earth as
I,
heaven.
I definitely agree with you, honey. I think the first thing is to, especially, the paradigm of life on this planet has dictated to many, religion, which people have sought, and because of the love that is in their heart, because of their need that they have for spirituality
But
and
they're
for.
looking outside themselves, Mohsen, instead of
Right,
feeling within themselves.
I
Being
got you.
in that state of meditative prayer of giving thanks and enjoying. Because that's the true ticket of knowing love. Not just thinking you got love and your actions or behaviors are love.
That is correct. And the first thing is that, we've got different groups of people. We've got people who have been darn atheists. Those people are kind of thinning down. After the 1990s, the fall of Russia, which was an atheist nation, and people have started, and of course, this is right, 3 years after the harmonic convergence era, which started in 1987. So people have started saying, no, 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 there is something more than this. There is something more than this. I am connected somewhere beyond my physicality,
Mm-hmm.
and so they have again accepted and brought the God back to their life. Now, these people, certainly, if there are some more atheists out there, hopefully by listening to some of our conversations and all that stuff, they realize that we there is we are smart, we're certainly intelligent beyond anything they can even hope for.
There's a high consciousness. I mean, there's
Right.
there's different levels of vibrations to consciousnesses.
That's right. So because some of these atheists are basically, they look down on religion, and
I
they're.
look down on religion, okay?
Yeah, no, no, no. But this different, honey. Now, let me make this clarified. You know, you and that was the second group I was going to get to it. There are people you look down on religion because you're disgusted by a lot of it,
Mhm.
because you have seen how it has been used to manipulate the mass and to control and all that and suppress and oppress.
Right.
But these people look down because they say they don't even look into the details. They don't even look at what you would be looking as what is happening to these
Mm-hmm.
nation of people. But they're just looked down because they think they're smart. I've talked to people, let's say from Berkeley, top-notch school in the world. You know, one of the definitely the most top-notch schools in the world. And these are the people that have always been very controversial because of their intellectual and kind of extreme and radical ideology. And you talk to them, and I talked to them. My daughter was actually a student at the time, and I met with people, in particular one girl who's now actually an attorney, and very intelligent, very successful girl. But she just was so adamant that God does not exist, and she was an atheist. And when I tried to understand why she says that, she didn't seem like a bad person. She was, I wouldn't say she was a warm and loving person, but she certainly had those potentials and characteristics. And so why is she saying all this? The reason is that she comes from a high intellectual group of, at least she thinks herself she does, and then she thinks everybody else is sort of idiots and the sheep, and they go to church and they do this, and they just don't know they're just they looks down on it in that fashion.
Well, even the
Now,
people at the church look down on other people. Spirit
that's right.
is not of a man-made creation.
Oh my God, that kind of thing. I've seen it all the time. I've gone to church. My wife was came from a Mennonite background, which you probably know that they're so limited and they keep to each other. I mean, they're not as bad as Hutterites, but there's certainly similar to Amish. You know, they have their own. In fact, there are places all over, in South Dakota and all that,
Right.
that they have their own colonies, and
Colonies, what a way to say it.
yeah, and they live together on farms, in villages and stuff like this, and they shun people if they go out of the colony and go to the world, so to speak.
Sounds like
Uh,
Jehovah Witnesses too.
that's right, right,
Let's
exactly,
infiltrate them. They're not allowed to have their own opinion or insights or belief systems. No,
exactly.
no, no. Crucify him. No, pardon me.
And and the Amish, they look at you and they call you English. I
What
mean, that's very, very, very kind of ignorant.
makes
Oh,
sense?
you know. But anyway, there are some, so there are these all kinds of religious people, and then there are religious people that I love, although they're masses. Because look at this population where there are 8 billion almost people on this planet, and there's 1.5. I don't know exact numbers right now; they change, but 1.5 billion people. I think they're Catholics or even more. There's this, that. So these are not bad people. They're the same people as you and me,
Right.
except they have invested their love, their something that's good inside them and ticking inside them, but they have invested their emotions on something that now we're beginning to see that is actually evil.
Uh,
This Catholicism is evil. This
yeah.
this this Vatican is a layer of, if you want to refer to a devil.
Well,
I mean,
because they made the idol god the currency called dollar
that's
or,
right.
or whichever. And So we pay into the idol gods of commercialism, where you buy products that are actually so much more harmful to your being, which will cut you completely away from your spirit. Okay, because spirit
Mhm.
is not synthetic; it is organic, and the only way to strengthen or to be able to clean our auras or our fields or our whichevers is to not introduce things that are going to inhibit it by,
That's correct.
know,
And they do that because there's money in it. Okay. But it's beyond that. It's not just the money. I mean, they own all the
yeah.
corporations.
I don't want to talk about suicide sacrifices and banking. I mean, come on, yeah.
Right. Well, it's getting there because but I hate to tell you this, Mona, that the people who have suicided, they are of course the instrument of evil, okay? But they are not the ones that have to be cleansed out of this planet. They're the people who are actually the slaves, the
The
people who are
puppets.
they're puppets, and they're getting big money. They look important as being the president or the chief executive officer of this huge bank and this and that. But it's kind of like from the people who are above him, it's nothing more than throwing a bone at you, you know?
Well, do you think the etheric side of the hierarchy plays such stupid power games?
Well, certainly.
Oh, well, lovely then. Like, we're not going to go to an easier transition of ascending to other ways if there's still battling going. Or, I mean, wait a minute. That's probably factual, but really, there's still competition.
Well, certainly the people
Oh,
who are the cabal, so to speak,
right.
and they're the ones that the major families and all that stuff.
Oh,
You
well,
know,
I meant the etheric hierarchy, honey.
oh no 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 no, the
I didn't
etheric.
go any further with that. I apologize.
I'm sorry. No, I thought. You see, I thought by the etheric. You know why? Let me tell you exactly what I
Because
thought.
there's one on each side, right? It doesn't end. There is still channels of levels of producing entities or favors or group consciousnesses. So that would be the hierarchy to me, as well as what the man thinks it is down here, which is slavery and that. But I think the other ones are more freedom. The etheric is freedom or being
Right.
free, and being on the man side is slavery. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking about etheric in the sense of higher dimensions, fifth and above,
Mm-hmm.
and all that. So, well, that is certainly divine. That's good. There's no even duality there, and there's no evil, and they don't want anything bad for you. I mean,
Right.
you've accepted to come into this sewer, basically. Okay, in this swamp, let's say, in this muddy water, let's say, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
and you have come in here, and in this world of duality, in this world of polarity, to be introduced to good as well as bad, and you have the free will, and you have chosen yourself to come here to experience all this stuff, and maybe it sounds horrible right now. You see that a young guy dies, even a baby dies in the womb, or other people are dying of starvation or this and that.
Right.
From one point, I don't want to sound apathetic. In fact, that is quite the opposite of who I am. I'm extremely empathic and conscious and compassion
But
is
you're not in control of what we ask for and what our situations or life are around us, because we're all here to acclimate, to learn, and to create. Accessibly join the knowing that some people come here to learn what it feels like to starve and die.
exactly. Thank you, honey. You read my mind. you're,
Because
you're,
it
you're
is. That's why we should never place any judgment on any kind of cause and effect. Because the reality is, we don't know what the universal law had to play out to balance the duality.
absolutely, and you have you know
No,
you
not
know
really.
Lord Lord Metatron says it himself that don't blame anybody on what is happening on Earth or in your life, because first of all, you came here, you selected to come here. Nobody directed you to come here. That's number one. Number two, you had a actually a glimpse of what's going to happen to you, except it's not going to be exactly. See, you look at a template
Mm-hmm.
before you come in here. That's what your life is going to be. You can be a Joan of Arc like personality, or you can even be Joan of Arc as she was. But when you come in here, you have your free will and you improvise and you become that Joan of Arc the way you want to be a Joan of Arc. And it is different than that. And then when you're done, it goes into the Akashic records again. And it becomes a template for somebody else, maybe in the future, who would
Well,
want to come and experiment. So so basically, it says, do not argue, do not complain. You accept it to come in here. You
right.
accept. You want it to exactly be what you are. You want it to look like that. If you came as a blonde or you did this or that. Now, when you come in here, you you live in total amnesia. Okay, you have a connection to your higher self and to your essence. But it is like a kind of a wireless. It is, you're not connected through any kind of sort of speaking. In other words, your brain. I'm talking about your
Right.
neural
Right, we're
network.
gonna go to break. Hello, welcome back to Adventures of a Feral Hippie, Hippie, Hippie. Here at freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. Listener supported and volunteered put on for your listening enjoyment. So please go to the homepage and hit that donate, donate, donate button. And yes, give us again the place that the link for your show that you're doing the TV thing at. Mr. Mohsen, I know I have you here.
Yeah, honey. Can you hear me?
Oh, you came in loud and clear.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess the way to do that is actually go to consumer consciousness network.com, okay? Or consumer, you just Google that, consumer consciousness network.tv, okay? I mean, they've got variety of different things.
Right.
Consumer consciousness what is it, org or com or whatever,
Uh-huh.
or just go either on my
YouTube.
Facebook page or go on YouTube, and also the program is called Dawn of Ascension. So you can check under Dawn of Ascension. I noticed there's something else on YouTube, and I never realized it was. Otherwise, I would have called it a little differently. But there is another program called Dawn of Ascension. It's something entirely different. I don't really know what it is, but it's
Well, I'm
not.
putting your YouTube in the chat right now, so
Yeah, you can probably just look it up and just copy the link. But Dawn of Ascension, if you go there and or on my Facebook and all that, so you can get to it. It is on Sundays from 12 to 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's 5 o'clock GMT, but that
whoops,
is.
wait. I was backing up and it decided not to ask me if I wanted it on or not. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's they mention it GMT, so if you see it at 5 p.m. If you go, for example, and check their broadcast system and all the stuff, you see I appear at 5 p.m., but that's because it's GMT. It's 12 p.m., 12 noon our time. So, in fact, it's at the same time as this show, but except it's on Sunday instead of Monday. So, that's that. And if you go on my, Facebook, or if you go to the Institute of Spiritual Science, page on Facebook, you're gonna find links and stuff like that. But it will direct you to Dawn of Ascension page, which will tell you basically what is the show is about.
Mm-hmm.
And just to tell you this, it's basically about anything that concerns us in this new age, and especially in regarding ascension. And that's why it's called the Dawn of Ascension. We're all, changing. We're all expanding in our consciousness. Our frequencies are raising, increasing. And so we're within that dawn still, because it's going to be going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember I was in a meeting in, where was it? I think it was in Colorado in 2011. And there were these groups of people that they were basically thinking of buying or thinking of cocktail on sort of a spaceship, going ascending. And I thought it was so ludicrous. It is not something, and then there were so many channelings on the YouTube that talked about Palladians and all these higher dimensional human beings, or beings, and they were going to come in here, rescue us, and they're going to land. It was talking about landing, and it was talking about disclosure, which tell people that aliens do really exist, or we're not alone.
Right.
And then all these different groups, from Andromedans to Arcturians to Palladians, Syrians, whatnot. And they were giving all these channels and telling you that basically the landing is coming. The landing is
Oh,
coming.
I've known somebody who is supposed to be of that statue, and it's off of facade. It's
Facades.
well, I feel the truth. I don't see the truth. You can talk to me, but I can hear the truth. So
Right.
I
No,
pick
no, no.
and choose who I hang out with very consciously.
Right. I actually think I was reading these channelings, which actually taught me a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even through Metatron, a lot of things. I mean, Metatron is much more extensive and very
Well, I read the Earth, the
structured.
Palladian ones, which was interesting,
Right,
and the Saint Germain,
right.
and some of the other ones like that too. But I don't see them, but per pieces of this puzzle. There is no one direct route. Because I've read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the... You know what I mean? There is
Right.
not one straight way.
Right. Well, you see, what happened was this. I think actually the Galactics, okay, they didn't exactly know how this is going to be done, because they were charged with helping the ascension of humanity, giving us information to expand our knowledge.
What about the Zetas?
Zeta Reticuli, no, those are quite the opposite. Those are from the those are actually grays. They, the home place of grays. Now those are negative. What they were doing, they were taking their channels,
Mm-hmm.
and they were distorting them, and they would put all evil stuff in there, and it's misinformation. They were
Right.
trying to do misinformation. So, and they were puzzling the heck out of people, because as soon as you're trying to understand what is going on, what is this movement of ascension, what does it mean, what does it curtails, and all this stuff. And these people were coming with similar stories, but changing details and all this stuff. So it was
But
going
don't
to.
you think we've been ascending since birth because it's all a calculation and reorganization of our consciousness?
I think, yeah, I think you're right, honey. But I think you've been ascending before you even reincarnated. I think you reincarnated this time because you wanted to ascend. There are many, and some of them actually came in because there's not 8 billion people are going to come that way, but there are many entities, biological entities right now on Earth
Okay.
that they have reincarnated as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've heard of the indigos and star seeds and all that kind of crystal children and all that stuff. And these have come in here. Some of them, they came in here to actually help us, to kind of jumpstart our consciousness. And it created problems. And you mentioned it one time about the autistics and this and that, because they're finding difficulty to communicate because their level of consciousness, is just different. And even that they have transduced themselves into step down their, to fit into this biological system.
Personally, I think that some other parasite created in the human to stop those incoming, because the mercury and the toxins in the environment that we are dealing with and living with and trying to help out with. People literally, in my opinion, is the ascension to turn back to the nature of the reason of why we're here and not put ourselves through these derogatory annihilations, self-annihilations.
I agree with you. The ascension. Listen,
I want all children safe, Mohsen, because there are the answers coming. And if somebody else figures out who these answers are by some kind of false pride and humility, just like the bankers are going to be taken out.
Right. See, let me tell you that's how I feel about this, okay? There is no such thing as Armageddon. There is no such a thing as end of days. All this religious crap that they have put in Catholicism is the one that spearheaded a lot of this,
right?
Garbage. Going back to the medieval times and right after Christ, basically. This stuff is baloney. Okay, and I want to give one other assurance from my personal, feeling, is that don't worry about the cabal, whatever,
right?
Even reptilians, listen, these entities have existed for a long time, and they have been coming to this planet and leaving.
And you might be one of them, but not you personally, the listeners. We all are stardust. We all are parts of different vibrational. We're mutts. But we're here, and I think and I know that our human body is so much stronger to be able to, not feed into the fear factor, because that's where the whole power play is. There's all kinds of differences. And that should make it more a joy than a war.
Well, if you really want to think about what it was, that at the time of Atlantis and pre-Atlantis, actually, about I would say about 50,000 years ago, we were at the peak of galactic society anywhere. Okay?
I remember all the hugs. Really, it was an unconditional state of being, and that's what it felt like.
Absolutely. If you remember that, you are so lucky, honey, because I have little bleed throughs here and there, and I can't remember everything. People tell me, some of the people who've read my energies, that this and that, But I tell you something, and I haven't really actually uh, indulged in any of that stuff. I do want to work with some healers and people who are attuned to that aspect, of higher consciousness. But here's basically what it is.
Okay.
We were at the pinnacle, okay? And I'm going to tell you something that maybe even shock you. I don't know if I mentioned it in our show one other time. Seems to me I might have said it. But anyway, here's what happened. We were at the peak of civilization. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this planet was the proverbial heaven. There were no evil.
Right,
Everything,
Eden.
yeah, exactly. It was Eden, and in fact, it used to be the not only the center of culture in many ways. It was the library of
Mm-hmm.
the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
And as I understand, actually, some of that already exists under the Sphinx. It's just that has to
They've
be.
already stolen it. There was a big advertisement for some stupid energy drink, and they cased it all off and did some commercial, but people ended up dead there, left behind. It was a big psyops thing.
There's the guard. They guard this stuff so well. I mean that all the gate, the openings.
But the illusion is falling apart if we allow it, because that's what the Grand Cross was. Just that tick of, oh, here's some extra light for you. Get through the 3D. And if you see things you don't always think that you're going crazy. There's things that are literally here around us that you've maybe never seen before, but it's going to start showing up.
Oh, most definitely. On that note, I want to tell you this, that you have a system of, first of all, Omni Earth, which, you have all these different layers of Earth. They are in the same, basically, space or space continuum. And the only way that distinguishes them is the frequency. Okay?
Right.
You change your frequency and you get to another Earth. And we do that. We do that at night when we sleep, because when we turn off our regular physical consciousness.
Yeah.
And what we will basically get in a meditative state that we are able to change our frequency. And then you go and this morning I got up in the morning. I had an alternative. It's beginning to really, really bleed through because I see him and I can see him a lot longer. What I'm doing here, what I'm doing there, and you're living all these lives, but you live it in consciousness. Remember, we talked about the basically wheel of consciousness, the sequential jumping. And that 10 to the minus 43 seconds, remember? Right. And within that period, you're doing other things. At night, you definitely, because you're totally unconscious. You're because that's why you sleep. That's where you're knocked out. You sleep, So anyway, going back to this, at the time of Atlantis, it was the pinnacle of civilization and everything. And all these people were apparently coming to, Palladians, They are coming right now, and you can't see them because they're in the fifth and the seventh dimension, and they are in the same vector of space, but we can't see them. They can see us. We can't see them.
Some can see them. Some know the difference.
Some can see them. Yes.
And I really do know that there's some that are in the physical form here.
Exactly. And that's what we started at. That's what we exactly say. Didn't we start saying this, that there's a lot of them right now here.
I just want to say something, though, Mohsen, before we go to the top of the hour preludes, that when I got and broke through and had to literally disregard everything I was taught because I knew it was a lie. I couldn't live with it anymore. My insides were screaming, you're going to have a
Right.
nervous breakdown if you don't figure this shit out. And I'm like going,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute here, because I'm running 3 greenhouses. So I have a full-time business, a mother, a wife, and boys to boot. And, other things that, in my life were going on. And I'm telling you, within a 3-year span, I've seen so many things physically for what they were etherically, materially. So, how could you question it? Because I wasn't out looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was just that time that my body said, look, you are here for another thing. And I'm glad I haven't had the fear.
Mm-hmm. Well, once you start letting go of that fear and anxiety, you are in a much more sort of meditative state.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. My herb store, and I used to do tarot readings, and I didn't realize all the energies that were coming in and out of the store that I had to face to realize that were out there between vampires, reincarnated druid priests that hunted me down. I mean, the stories I could say are amazing. But I had this vampire, and it was like 12 people in my tiny little store, and all the energies were. I had at least an 8-day migraine. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, because I make special cough tea, herbs and coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and I started listening to a meditative music and other music. And I had to literally separate my consciousness into different degrees to break the cycle of that one. And of course, a lot of it was going in. But how the migraine broke, and I've never had any since, is a dove flew through a dark cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. The migraines have gone.
Wow.
So it's interesting if we, sometimes stress is really what we might think we're experiencing, but it's actually just a vibrational change of allowance, because the steps that followed through that, have taken or brought me to where I am today. So I really want to let people know there is no need for fear, and that you can grow in love and self in this and have a goodish time. Here we go. We'll be back on the other side.
Okay.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to Adventures of a Feral Hippie here at freedomslips.com. Yes, indeedy. And you should go to /new chat /live.hdm, because guess what? We're in here just shooting a type shoot, yeah. And we'd love to have you in there. We have a links group. We have where you can actually listen to us 3 different ways. Actually, 4 different ways. We have you can call in and find it on the homepage, because it's all right there. All right. And if by chance you have a question here now today, I'll give in the studio number like Mohsen suggested, 310-421-4053, or Skype Freedom Slips. Yes, indeedy. So are you back with me, mister?
Yes, my dear.
Hey, Mohsen.
I'm right here.
Yeah, cool. I like my Mondays.
We're kind of bonding, I guess, huh? Melting.
Well, our soul groups are coming together for certain reasons, and I'm all A-okay with that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Anything to also, enlighten others, and to be a beacon of light, and to lighten up the path, so to speak. Because as we said before, God has given you 2 directives, 2 missions only. And beyond that, you're totally on your own. You can do whatever you want to do. You can create.
Yeah, that's what we're here for, isn't it?
Exactly. You can improvise. And it's taken, mankind, or our souls, basically, and our higher souls, and higher than higher. And it's taken all that time for us to take that power of consciousness, which we inherited initially from God, and to make something out of it. And look around. Look around what we've got.
And
It is,
appreciate it,
and
because
of course,
we
appreciate it.
all know what could be as a loss. I mean, when I see what's happening on the West Coast, no matter what the time frame is whatever prophet says or whichever, we have to just learn to acclimate whatever conditions are around us, because we're spirits in human bodies, and the human body is so much more miraculous than what we've been taught.
Exactly.
Use tones, use colors, use, words that bring joy, not the
Mhm.
detriment of anything that harms you. And I give everybody permission for that. Even myself, I'm on conscious duty to see
Mhm.
what my mind is thinking and who's in control.
Yeah, and just remember, in these days, in this day and age, that the energies that are coming to us, they're so intense that
They
our,
can be, yeah, very much so.
and I mean, I know it comes directly from the core of the sun. The light that comes to us, that give us the consciousness, it is intensified, and when it reaches you, of course, you have the power of will what to do with that. Because if you do not allow the source to speak adamantine or God particles, they cannot get inside you, okay? And because you don't want it, you don't allow it. But
Exactly.
once, but once you do, your frequency goes up. You expand your consciousness, and with that, there are symptoms. Your pineal starts opening up, and that's the major reason for your headaches. And the more and more and more and more it opens up, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it continues on. So that these ascension symptoms are here. But I want to tell you this, okay? There is no reason to even chicken out and say, oh, well, ascension symptoms, ascension pains, all these bad thoughts and stuff like this. I don't want this. You can chicken out and you can say, I don't want to ascend. I don't want to ascend, not because I don't want to ascend, it's because I don't think I can ascend, or I'm too weak to go through all the stuff.
Well,
At
that's
that
pretty downright sad.
Yeah, and that people are doing it. I mean, I'm sure there's some people are doing it. Once they get
Well,
to see,
yeah.
you know what it does? Here's what it does. The pain comes, the change comes, that you actually started talking about that, and and the discomfort comes, and you seek in your own mind the safe ground. And if that happens, that is, your free will is saying, "Oh, boom, I don't want this. I don't want this." And you stop that. Now, what I want to tell you this is the following. The First of all, I want to tell you this. First of all, forget about the cabal and all the negativities and all this stuff. Learn about all this stuff, so you know what is in fluoride. You know what chemtrail does. You know what's your DMT is working, and what happens to your DMT and all this. Know about all this stuff. Even learn a little bit more about the you know what I'm saying, the connection that you have with etheric. Do it as much as it's comfortable for you, okay? However, when it comes to cabal and all this stuff, don't worry about it, because number one, they can't win. There is no Armageddon, okay? There is no contest when it comes to God versus this. So all these religious crap that you see, that they show Archangel Michael having a big mighty sword, and the Lucifer is on the other side. This is all crap. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a fantasy, you know. So the first thing I want to tell you this is that yes, these people have been privy to more knowledge, more power, because they live in the fourth dimension. They're privy to the fourth dimension. All these reptilians that you talk about. But they can't get to the fifth and sixth and seventh. And that is where you are. That's where the comfort is. That's where the proverbial heaven is.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to win. There's no contest. That, you know what they are? They're part of the paradigm of duality.
Exactly.
Because if they didn't exist, hello, I'm hearing some.
I know I've got something going on. It's trying to. There we go. We're here, I think.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you were hearing something because I was on my Facebook collecting information for chat, and there, somebody else just added to it.
All right.
It's life in the computer, Molson.
Yeah, you might have two maybe speakers close to each other. They're kind of talking to each other. Hold on a second. That's good.
And then
I don't hear anything now, so you're good.
Interesting, because it's been down for a moment. Oh, they might be cutting in and listening. Come on, I'm not just some little feral hippie in this world. I've known that for a long time, and it's okay.
Yeah, I told you this before. I mean, I don't want to talk about Cabal. It doesn't really concern me, and I don't need any of that garbage in my life. There's so much beauty in spirituality, you know? Hello?
What am I getting?
Oh, you're there. Okay, good.
I know, and something's making noise at me, but I can't see what it is. Interesting. Go ahead. I mean, I'm not asking her, I'm just trying to trust what's going on. It's been interesting.
There is so much.
Yeah, can you hear it too?
No, we're good now. I don't hear myself anymore. There was an echo for a very short time.
Somebody must be trying to cut in on it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many different dimensions are we calling to us just by bringing all this information out, Mohsen? We cannot consider third dimension even the true part of the reality of what we're experiencing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you this: the fourth dimension is just right around the corner. I mean, once you go beyond your physical, we talked about all this stuff. And you enter your etheric body right after that's fourth dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So fourth dimension access is very, very simple. I mean, you've been doing that in your dream state and that times every time you get extremely upset, angry, fearful, revengeful, any of those frequencies that they need to go and get cleansed, you actually go to fourth dimension and dump it there. Because it's a waste station, the very first part of the fourth dimension. So we have been not just living in a third dimension, but third and interface with fourth all the time, even pretty much at the beta state. Now, if you want to get it a little further up in the fourth dimension, then you need to get into the alpha state. But anyway, just going back to this, honey, the way I see it is that no matter what comes to you, fear, anxiety, all this stuff, these things are part of the paradigm of our lives. They are in our genetics, okay? They're written in there and for a purpose. And so it's very, very hard. It's almost impossible while you are reincarnated in physicality, you're plagued with them, okay? In other words, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that they're there all the time manifesting I'm saying that it depends on you. But I'm saying they will influence your your mind, and you have to take a special initiative to drive them away, because ultimately you're the boss. You have the power of will, okay? So what I say, and this is what I say to my children, in very, very simple terms, not getting too much into the mechanics of the spirituality and spiritual science and all that, even advanced topics. The key thing is just do not let any negativity come to you, because it comes to you, it consumes you. It is part of your duality. It drags you to the other spectrum of the frequencies that you're privy to. Okay? So this is the reason that I recall in 2010 or whatever, when I was reading, or 11, when I was reading, you know, multiples, numerous channelings that were coming from, our galactic brethrens, and forgetting about all this. We're landing business. We're giving you technologies. That Sheldon Neidl still talks about all this stuff. All this. Apart from that, there were beautiful channels coming in, and they were talking to you about spiritual mastery. They were talking to you about your essence, where you come from. There were very many, many, many good things that have either existed in metaphysics, or they were really articulating the metaphysics. So there were a lot of good things that are coming in. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that I think jump started the expansion of consciousness in many people. And those people who were skeptical and frowned upon it, and just the same way
It's probably only because they haven't found their familiarity yet.
well, they're not
And that's
ready.
what people are looking for, is the same, like, camaraderie. Is that how you say that word?
Yeah, camaraderie.
And then we have to say blessed to those who may even not be part of us, because we magnetically call to us what we fear and what we love. So which one are you going to do? You're going to let it control you, or are you going to control it?
Exactly. The pool is there. The pool is polarized. It has the positive, the negative, the extremes. That's duality. And you can attract either one to you. And you are the boss, but you're the magnet. You have the power. You are that plot. You have to just use this flux of magnetic field that is there. You have to use that the right way, and that's what I was trying to say, and which is exactly what you're saying. That you don't let negativity come to you, and you're gonna find what that does after a while, or after a very short while. Actually, you start seeing that you start becoming very, very confident. You start believing in yourself. You start loving yourself. You start seeing who you really are and who you can be. And actually, you will become enticed by the whole process, that you want to be better and better and better and better. And that is when you really, really, way into your awakening. And once you go there, you have to continue with it. Now, listen, these fears exist all the way up to at least level 5 of your ascension. There's about 12 levels that you're going to go through. And only really about 8 to 10, they really disappear, because they're part of your paradigm. In fact, the time that really totally they disappear, totally they don't exist, even the faintest, flux of magnitude in there, is when you're ready to ascend. And when you're ready to ascend is when you totally give up your ego. And if you want to think about it, you are tethered to this physicality and you're cutting the cords.
Mm-hmm.
And once you cut those cords, you start flying away. You're just gone. Now, it doesn't mean you can't come back to the third dimension. This is something that recently has actually
So
come to me.
basically, let's get back to the word ascension then, because it's been said a lot, but I'm considering the meaning or the facts behind ascension is that we're just always going continually forward and basically learning from it, not staying and holding from what's been in our past, but knowing this now is what's creating the future. And that's just one ingredient of the whole thing that we have to use and borrow to create life.
Exactly. Actually, if you want to look at it the completely correct way, ascension is actually resurrection. You are basically meeting back yourself.
Oh, cool.
You are going, as I said, 50,000 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what is it, Atlantis, and all the way down to about 16,000 BC, okay? Or 16, actually 16, I'm sorry, 1,000 years ago. And so what it was is that we were at the peak. Then, if you wanted the story, I can go ahead and tell you about the story of Atlantis a little bit. But basically, we fell down. Okay, we fell. That, and it was because of the turmoil that started, within the population of Atlantis. The first thing was that conquest and being the head honchos of the planet, and the fight with the Lemuria. And Lemuria, actually, they're very, very highly spiritual entities in Lemuria who actually live underneath Mount Shasta. They're still here, okay? Now, some of these Lemurians, they just parted and they said, we have nothing to do with this. They just left. They got into the gateways and they went to another part of the cosmos, okay? Some of them went down inside Earth, and they basically created Agartha, okay?
Hmm.
But
What's Agartha?
Okay, Agartha is the whole basically society or population of humanity that still lives in fifth dimension, and they live inside Earth.
Okay.
Because inside Earth, actually, Earth itself, and this Earth is not the only planet. There are many planets, most planets actually, out there that, we look at the life on the surface. There is a life within the surface because the center is not some molten rock and this and this. It is another sun. It's an interior sun. And actually the sun has a kind of a violet rays, and the beings that are there after a while, they change their skin, that they look different color, kind of a violet bluish color. So if you've heard of these violet blue people, that's what we're talking about. Those are the Agarthans. Now, Lemurians were the ones that went down there. They were highly, highly spiritual people. They wouldn't come down. They would not get into conflict and war and expansionism and all that stuff. So they went simply down there, and they formed their own, Hyperborea or whatever. That I hear that there's 7 layers. They live under Mount Shasta. Now, what happened was this way after that, when Atlantis started having civil problems, civil war problems. And I can tell you who instigated that. And this comes directly from Lord Metatron, okay? So I'm not making you some fantasy Hollywood type stories, okay? Lord Metatron says that. This comes directly from him, all right? And I'm quoting. So as I'm talking to you, I'm talking as Lord Metatron. You can trust me what I'm saying, all right? These people, there was there were actually two characters in there, and one of them is none but Hitler himself, okay, and the other one is Himmler, and these people were actually sons of Belial, and they lived on the island of Aryan. So when you hear Aryan race, that's where the connection is. Aryan race doesn't mean they come from Iran, or they come from Middle East, or they come from Aryan. They lived on. You had the Isle of Poseida, okay, which were the major part of Atlantis, and that's where the adept priests were. This is where the major crystals were, the temples were, and all that stuff. The government was, and
Right.
then and then there were some events that the islands broke up, and then you had the Isle of Poseida, and then various other islands, but the other major one was Isle of Aryans, and Isle of Aryans was a place that did a lot of genetic research. Okay, so
No, but okay.
okay, but they did the genetic research for good purpose.
Oh,
Okay, so
I
basically,
have no way to say or not, so.
yeah, these come from Lord Metatron. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're not, and that they have appeared at other places, because a lot of things that Lord Metatron has said, you can see them elsewhere. I mean, that the Arcturians have said it. You've seen channels, or you've seen other things. I mean, you can go back to the Enoch. I mean, who presumably was his form on the planet. Okay, when he lived on the planet, because Lord Metatron is very, 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 very related to us. Okay, is off Earth, has been on Earth, lived in here as Enoch. Okay, and so anyway, going back to the Atlantis, the sons of Belial, they were very, very ambitious and evil. Same thing that you saw it through World War II. Okay, and so what they did, they started stirring the pots and telling people that they have to have, because before the adept priests who were in the 12th dimension and extremely godly and nothing, perfect beings, okay, they had control and the majority of everything, control of everything that goes to the voting and all this stuff. So the sons of Belial went there, and anyway, they changed the system into letting other people coming and having voting regarding what was going on. Yeah. And at that time, Atlantis was, had the Og, which is this, that South America, North America, all this stuff. They had the isles of Cypriot, Greece, all that. Everything was under their control, okay? But at this time, they started saying, oh, these colonies are breaking up, and they're doing this, and they started a lot of turmoil. If you have seen Hitler on the video, okay, on TV, and you've seen him when he shouts, with a German accent, and tells you this and that and that and that, he was that kind of character. He's the same part. He's the same entity. He's the same spirit, okay, and the same soul, okay. And so, anyway, they finally, what they did, they started splitting this stuff into having the adept priests, having the majority, okay, but they got constituents from other sources to come in and have say. So basically, a parliament was formed, okay, and finally, what they did, they went and bribed, which is really amazing, because they bribed, that tells you the power of evil, what it can be, bribed the adept priest.
Well, geez, I guess we'll have to get back to that after the other side.
Okay, Very good.
Well, yes, hello. How are we? We're back here at freedomslips.com. Revolution Radio. Adventures of a feral hippie. Do go to the homepage and check it out. There's all kinds of things. I want to get that $50 stick drive because it's got all kinds of neat information on survival skills and things of that nature. Plus, we have DVDs available for each show and host. Hi, Mohsen.
Hi, honey.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm waiting for you to come back.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to figure something out here because, yeah, it's the thing though is you have to not have fear if new things are testing you because that's all this is that we're all being tested. We're all seeing how far we will allow to be pushed and hopefully not to push back.
Mm-hmm. And to just reiterate on that, we came here to be tested.
Oh,
in our efforts, yeah. Because and this is what we were saying, the fall of Atlantis created this duality, okay?
Well, I think it's the triplicity, if you want to ask me, because this would be like the third go-round. If Mu didn't work and Atlantis didn't work, and now this might not work. I mean, come on, we got to quit letting this crap happen.
No, honey. It's that don't think about this doesn't work or that doesn't work. Because the thing, cosmos is what it is, okay?
Okay, right, okay.
And it depends what you do with your consciousness and your existence. You came down, you weren't here, okay? And I didn't finish saying that there were some group of people left through Stargate. Some people went down, and the ones that first was Lemurians, and then the Atlanteans after the civil wars and all this stuff. And I was telling you, the sons of Belial created all the problems, okay? And they created the turmoil first through generation of creation of this, so to speak, parliamentary thing. Then by bribing a few adept priests, and this is devil at work. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the priest who's so almost omnipotent and all that stuff, getting him into separative power and say, well, you're going to have power all over the planet, and you're going to have, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so what they did finally, they came to a situation. They said war, just like they did in Second World War. And what happened was this. Then the satellite fell. The satellite fell.
A satellite.
Well, the satellite.
Oh, them. Which satellite?
No. They had a satellite that worked with the 9 crystals of Atlantis and with the sun disks. And, it was a very, very structured way of powering the planet. Okay. And they, when that satellite stopped working because of these things that they had, because what they did, they took the crystals that they had a benevolent role, and that's energizing the planet and all this kind of stuff. They took this, they realized these crystals have very, very destructive power. So they started using these in weaponry and stuff like this because they kept saying they're getting out of control. People are becoming independent. They have to be under Atlantis, all this garbage, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, these wars started. Then there was a civil war started, basically in sort of civil war in the Atlantis, because some people took the side of the adept priests. Some people said no, freedom. And, Lucifer did the same thing. So what happened was this: there was destruction, annihilation, all this stuff. And at this time, Anunnakis came to. They were here. Actually, they were here for 450,000 years. But the Anunnakis started really working with Atlantis in their genetic labs and all this kind of stuff. And what they said, let's create a submissive, subdued race of humanity. So they took the people who were, in the 12th dimension even, they took them by force, and then they started experimenting with them, and then they realized they can't do anything but to cut their strands of DNA. So that's why we do not have 12 strands. We have 2 strands. We do have 12 strands. We don't have 12 active strands. Okay?
So Ascension would be to be activating those strands.
Exactly. So that's why.
Cool. How would we do that?
Well, it is happening. It is happening through the CMEs and all the magnetic storms. Since I told you this, since 1989, the energetic of the system has gone through the roof. Okay?
Cool.
And, NASA tells you there is an 11-year cycle that basically sun may eject mass, the coronal mass ejection. Coronal is the atmosphere of sun, okay? So it's the mass from the surface of the sun that gets into the atmosphere, and then whatever, if it accelerates, comes towards Earth, whatever. And the 11-year is nonsense. I'm going to be writing actually the various papers this week, okay? And we're going to have a show pretty soon. I don't know, we can do it on your show too. But I'm going to talk about exactly how sun is created from the process of nuclear fusion and how it is. And I'm going to disagree with some of the NASA says, because I think they just don't know and they're guessing and they're putting datas together that they don't lead to each other. But anyway, this is what's happening. A lot of energy are coming to the Earth. They are penetrating your aura. They are right there for you to use. And if you have decided to ascend, you are using these. And they're coming into your system. They're changing your pineal, your pituitary, your heart, your chakras, your thymus, hypothalamus. They're crystallizing you. And they're getting actually into your DNA system. And they are going to, they're changing, the structure, and that they're activating, different strands. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Before you can do this, unfortunately, your body has some genetic karma. Okay? And that's the result of 13,000 years of progressively stepping down. So
it's like a residue.
Exactly. And it's karma. And again, we're going to have another program. I've already written these papers, but I'm going to talk about exactly how soul vibrates, and I'm going to talk about what role karma plays in this, and in the mathematical modeling of a soul. Okay. So, anyway, what is happening? You're resurrecting. Okay. So basically, you're meeting yourself back. Now, you might have one very good question in here, all right? And I do ask these questions, and then I get the response, the answers, okay? You might ask yourself, wait a second. I reincarnate, I die all the time, I come back. Well, when I come back, when I go up there, I don't have this limited consciousness again. So what are you talking about? Why should I come down and go down more in my consciousness? And the answer to that is that the way that the whole process of reincarnation works, okay, is that you come in and you, so to speak, check in all your, check out all your powers, okay? You come in with a clean slate. You start all over. Whatever you gain in this reincarnation forms your physical, the basis for your physical consciousness. Now, if you go to your subconscious and superconscious, you can always reach your higher self, what you really are in essence. But while you're here, you are subjected to the paradigm of reality that exists on Earth. Okay? And the paradigm of reality is a result of collective consciousness. It's a result of all of us contributing. So when you, even if you're smart, remember what I told you about the star seeds and all this stuff. When you come in here, you're going to be dumbed down again, and you're going to have to start from the beginning. And you might say, why would I do that? Why would I be in a higher self in there, have a good thing, and come down in here to do this? The answer to that is education, learning, experience from scratch. Because if you remember everything that you know, that defeats the purpose. How can you go to school and learn something when you think that you know everything? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So here's what's going on. I mean, this is the paradigm of our existence, and it comes in through the grid. We've talked about this, I think, before a little bit, or to some extent. And the grid, what the grid does, takes this space-time continuum software program, and it serves it to you. Okay? And that is where I told you those energy, whatever is available to you. And then you spit it back to the grid because you pick and choose the ones that you want, that becomes the paradigm of reality on the planet. And it's not going to change until the collective consciousness changes. That means people, at least the majority of the people, start changing. And that is the reason we have got help from outside, these indigos and all this stuff, because they're coming in here and they're supposed to awaken. And when they're awakened, do what I'm doing right now, okay? No doubt I am a power seed, for the star seed, and then talk to people and show people and all this stuff. So this consciousness increases, and then when it increases, it goes back to the grid, and when it's spit back to you, the software is now has a new version. The reality, the paradigm reality keeps changing. Like now, now we say money is everything, right? Excuse me there.
Mm-hmm. That's all right.
But what happens is that once, and it is getting there, people are getting sick of this government situation, this power. They don't trust it anymore. They are getting sick and tired of money and the concept of money. Look what's on the internet. Look what they're talking about. And I'm not talking about spiritual people. I'm not talking about gurus. I'm not talking about even average people. I'm talking about the people who are, you know what I'm saying, in the government, retirees, or some even still there are in the system. And they're saying money doesn't work. So we have to have a unified monetary system. That's the first thing they say that we got to go to. And right after that, they're going to say money is nonsense. There's enough stuff on this planet. First of all, once they redistribute the wealth, which is 97% of it, goes one side now. We live with 3%, And once the whole money goes away. The concept of money goes away. When you have so much money, why would you cheat somebody else? Why would you compete with people? Why would you have proprietary thing? Why would you have corporate structure?
Yeah, why would ugly be the dream of creativity?
Exactly. So the paradigm change, and that becomes version, Windows, not 9 version, Windows 10 version. That's your reality. It's just like
Yeah,
it's just like Windows. You see, in Windows, you create reality in that computer.
all the time, right? Changes, Google searches, YouTubes. And for the longest time, I had to know how to do it without this reality. It does make it a whole lot more fractaled.
Yeah. And so that's what we need to jump. We've got jump started. There's no question about it. You said 3 years, and I like that what you said. I loved what you said. In the past 3 years, what's happened? Yes. Look what's happened in the 3 years. Listen to me. In 2011, I started my Facebook, and everybody was putting pictures of their dogs and this and this, and that's all it was, gossip. Now go to the Facebooks. People don't have even a picture of themselves. That when you go to their photos, they're all photos of spirituality related or nature related or inspirational type things, quotation from anything from Buddha to Rumi to even those who still stick with religion, everything from Bible. That's what's become the Facebook.
Right.
And look how many groups exist in there.
I don't want to know.
They used to
No.
be, Mona, 3 years ago, I swear, there were only about a handful of these groups. And so I got invited to about, I think, started with like 4 or 5 of them and then went to, I lost count after 30, 40 groups in there. But these groups were very specific. They would come in and invite you to go there and all this stuff. Not like that. Now you see on the side, join the group, And it's just the whole group situation just took off like crazy. There is a lot of consciousness out there.
Right.
And
It's just all which vibration we choose to utilize our best in or with.
exactly. And even your ignorant next door or somebody that you always thought is ignorant, now start talking to them. 3, 4 years ago, if you said something about some of this, they would roll their eyes, and they think you're stupid, you're crazy. Talking about alien, you were crazy. Anything anti-flag was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
they used to get disturbed. They used to get upset. Now, how many of these, so to speak, proverbial rednecks can you find? It's becoming less and less and less. I met a guy in a park, okay? Had come from Chicago with my daughter, and we started talking about it. And the first thing was this: "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm retired," and wanted to know exactly what I'm doing. I said, "This is what I'm doing. I'm basically doing service to humanity." How do you do that? I said, "I'm on Facebook. I'm da 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 da." So
Uh-huh.
we started talking. He wanted to know more about it. So we actually started talking about ascension. We started talking about things, and I'm telling you this guy not only was bringing up very interesting things that he had seen on the internet or this or that or what resonated with his own heart, and I was impressed. So I started talking. It took about 2 hours in the park, saying, and my daughter, who was talking to his wife, and coming there, and says, "Dad, do you think you should be doing this?" And I said, "Doing what?" He said, she said, I said, I am not being a pest to anybody. Trying to, I'm not an evangelist. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-hmm.
In this kind of stuff. I said, well, how can you talk so much about this stuff? I said, because one conversation. She said, look at you and me. We're talking 2 hours, and every time we have this thing, it's like past 15 minutes, we don't even think about it. Am I correct or not? You've said it yourself, right?
Repeat it.
Time passes fast.
Oh, well, yeah, because we're in the now.
Yeah.
We don't carry the past or assuming that we know what the future is. We can only be in this now, and I think we play well.
Right. But what I'm saying to you, Mona, 2 hours talking with people who communicate, or like-minded, or who can understand what you're saying, it's nothing. It's only you roll your eyes and start looking around and stuff when the person doesn't understand. So what I'm trying to say is that the resonance is there even for the ones who we say maybe not awakened, spiritual, or sending, or in any of the process of the ascension yet.
Mm-hmm.
They all have it. It's just because these particles, these God particles, are getting inside the brain, and they're saying, "Hey, I'm ticking. I'm ready to understand this." The only thing that's going to stop it is the free will, who says no,
and
I don't
fear,
want it.
Right? Fear is really what's
exactly. Let fear come in and say, "Oh, I don't want to get headaches because of pineal glands. Oh, I don't want to, and oh, this is, people used to get bored talking to them about."
You brought up 2 hours, darling. It sounds like our 2 hours have just surpassed themselves again.
Very good.
All right, we will get back at you as soon as I remember.
Okay, my dear. Is this the end of the show, right?
Yeah, it is. It's hugs and bubbles time, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you, dear. Have a good
night, Mohsen. Have a safe.
Okay, bye-bye.